Hello everyone, myself Janvi and I welcome you all to our first webinar of 2026. The start of the new year always brings expectations, excitement and also uncertainty. Every year market changes, what worked earlier may not work the same way. And this is exactly why today's session is not about prediction, tips and also shortcuts. Today's session is more about preparation. And our topic for today's webinar is Trading 2026 Strategy Playbook for the New Market Cycle. Now I'll shut my camera and we'll start with the webinar. The flow of the webinar. Now in today's webinar, we will see why 2026 strategy needs a strategy, what is the market cycle, overview of 4 steps, strategy across market phases, common traders mistake to avoid in 2026. Okay, so these are the flow. This is going to be the flow of the webinar. This is what we are going to conduct today. Okay, moving to the first slide, why 2026 needs a strategy. Now, as you may know that we are heading towards the new year. We have started a new year and almost everyone has their own strategy which works according to their base, and they know where the strategy entry could be, the exit could be. But out of all of you, I can understand that around 50% of the people would be having the same issue. Like, I don't have a strategy. What should I do? What can I predict for the new entries or new trends? What I can do. So these in this webinar, we are going to conduct majorly that we're going to explore about the market cycle. What exactly is market cycle? So the first header is market evolves every cycle. We're going to understand what is the zones for the market and how market actually moves and how you can actually participate into that. Volatility is no longer an exception. You cannot accept basically the volatility. Third point is emotional trading fails in changing conditions. So basically market changes its condition, but we obviously have attached to a particular trade. So we emotionally lose out some part of our money, and that's where we have to overcome out of it. Strategy brings clarity, consistency, and control. So if you have a strategy, you will have the clarity towards it, you'll have the consistency, and you'll have the control. So basically in this session, we will focus on how to read the market cycle, first thing, using the technical analysis, how to align ourselves with the institutional trends, where the trends are moving, and most importantly, how to trade with a clear rule-based strategy. Okay, now here what I say is prediction fails but process survives. So if you have a process, you're following a process, you will survive the market in whichever condition it will be. But if you are predicting, then definitely it will end up being a fail for you. You will not have a good profitable trades, or you'll end up getting confused. You won't have a clarity towards it. Okay, then so movingly, like every year we've seen like market behaves in a different way. We've seen firstly, it's a big thing that yesterday Nifty and Bank Nifty both has created an all-time high. That's a big achievement starting a year with having a good kickstart toward it. It's very important. So yes, we have achieved a mini goal, like we have crossed a good amount, good level. Now some year strong trends will be there, some remain sideways, like kabhi sideways zone mein hi aap dekhoge. Some turns, like would be volatility also. The biggest mistake that trader usually approaches, like not having a proper clarity towards it, by using the same approach in every environment. अगर आप एक strategy follow कर रहे हो, does that mean that strategy is going to work every time? A breakout strategy works beautifully in a trending market, you can say, but will it work in the sideways? You'll have to wait for a proper breakout to come up, and then you'll sort of participate into it, correct? So not every strategy will end up working in every phase or every zone. You'll have a particular sector जहाँ पे base zone जहाँ पे trending रहेगा तब एक strategy work करेगी, जब sideways रहेगा then we'll have to hold that particular strategy. So it is basically that. Now if I'll move to a second slide, what is market cycle? Now, what is my market cycle? Does everyone know what is market cycle? Can you all put that into the chat box, yes or no? So we'll get an understanding if you all are aware of about market cycle or you all are not aware about the market cycle. I would appreciate if everyone comes up with an answer, and if they can answer anything, yes, no, they aware, kind of, maybe, that will probably make us understand कि आप market cycle को जानते हो अच्छे से and आप market cycle follow कर रहे हो. So I haven't received any answers as of now. If you can answer me yes, no, maybe I would understand. Okay. No from Madhu. Okay. So firstly, I think I'll take a bit of time to explain you what market cycle exactly is. Okay, there is mixed answer. Yes, no. We're getting like mostly like no answer. So let's explain what market cycle actually means. Now, a market cycle is a natural recurring pattern of ups and downs. There is a four phase. So we are a bit aware about the economic cycle, but we are not majorly aware about the market cycle. Now, market cycle के भी चार phase है. एक होता है accumulation, एक होता है expansion, एक होता है distribution और एक होता है contraction. Now, accumulation जहाँ पे जब major phase होता है, like starting phase of the market trend. Now it is in a sideways zone. So basically कभी भी एक market रहेगा वो up down करते रहेगा. But accumulation is the zone where it is a sideways zone and it gives you a breakout towards the upper side. Okay, on the upper side and it goes on the higher end. So if it is given the breakout on the upper side, एक consolidation हो गया, उसके बाद एक breakout मिला आपको upper side के लिए ना, आप उसको extend करते गए. So that is your accumulation conducted, and the expansion is basically जहाँ पे वो higher highs बनाते जा रहा है. So that is accumulation and expansion defined. Now if I'll give you an example in a software, let's go with basically now, if I take you on the Nifty chart, mostly, now I'll just take you in 30 minutes time frame or now in 30 minutes, I'm going to explain you two different ways जहाँ पे accumulation cover हुआ था and यहाँ पे ही similar distribution भी cover हुआ था. So you can see over here, it was started to consolidation for like straight you can say 90 minutes, correct? From 4:15, it started to sideways the trend and almost you can say it went on till 5:15 and then uske baad ek jo candle hai last 15 minutes ki, where you saw a minor breakout happening from the high of the previous basically closing above the high of previous candle. So right now, what is this? The sideways is basically a consolidated zone, and then when it gives you a breakout, this is your accumulation, and when it goes ahead, it is called an expansion. Similarly, it happened the next day also. The whole market was sideways into the zone, and then we got a breakout. When the breakout basically happened, that is your accumulation, and when it goes on, it is known as expansion. Similarly, if I go backward and I see over here, it was consolidating for a period of time, then it went up, but then it came down. So whenever a sideways zone is happening and it is breaking towards the downward end, that is your distribution and your contraction. Now contraction will be lower low formations जहाँ पे वो lower low बनाते जा रहा है. So this is what market trend is. Now this particular thing is basically you will be able to see in any sort of market. It could be basically 5 minutes, any sort of time frame. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 30 minutes, it could be 60 minutes, it could be daily. And sometimes market cycles are continued from a minute to even you can say a year also. So कोई market situation, कोई stock में जो market जो cycle है, that is continuing for a year also. So you won't be able to see कि basically जो zone create हो रहा है जो एक बन रहा है उसमें क्रिएशन, दैट इज ऑलवेज अ मार्केट साइकिल ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर जोन. एंड उसमें आप देखोगे कि बेसिकली इट कुड बी फॉर अ ईयर, इट कुड बी बेसिकली, जैसे यहाँ पे अगर आई टेक अ नॉर्मल डेली चार्ट, यहाँ पे डेली चार्ट में आप देखोगे 4 कैंडल back to back, it was testing the same range again and again. Then you see a huge breakout happen, and then it continued, and then it went up, and then tested back again, pull back what would I say, and then it is trying to keep it the upper zone only. Then if I see over here, if I go backward, let's see MCX chart. Now in MCX, I have an example. Now, यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे, it was in the consolidated zone. Now, it was here, it was consolidating till you can see 1st of October 2025. After that, it gave us a good closing above the higher, like major like resistance के ऊपर closing मिली, and then I can see it has moved nicely towards the upper side. So here we have seen like 2 examples, one in Nifty and one in MCX. Now in MCX, if you see in the previous also, there was यहाँ पे भी accumulation हुआ था and expansion continuity हुई थी. यहाँ पे you can say a distribution phase था and downward in, that is basically a contraction. Clear to everyone now? Market cycle is this, and it keeps on following every year. So every year you'll see different market cycle, different zones. Normal आप index का भी देख सकते हो, stocks का भी देख सकते हो, in any sort of market, not just NSE, but every. Great. So I'm getting answer yes from everyone. I thank you everyone for participating and actually acknowledging the message. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay. So now moving. Now the particular, जैसे यहाँ पे मैंने लिखा है, a market cycle is a natural recurring pattern of ups and downs. It has 4 major phases: accumulation, expansion, distribution, and contraction. Now this is clear. The third point is price behavior defines the stages. Now, obviously, if it is the whichever the zone is getting continued, whichever the phase is there, the price effect hote rahega, but obvious hai, so that is there. A market cycle can last for a minute to a year. Like I said earlier also, it can last from a minute to a year also, depending on the market and the analyst time frame. Different careers focus on various different cycle aspects. So agar aapka basically you are a trader, okay, assuming you are an intraday trader, you will be obviously looking at 5 minutes time frame. That is your major requirement. So 5 minutes mein kya ho raha hai, I can see now 5 minutes mein I can see that 1 2 3 4, this is where the zones is created. Now this is where my major you can say a support level is directly towards the downward. If this is broken, it will go more towards the downward side. Easy. Now it has been consolidating after the whole market. Tomorrow, what I see is like basically the next session on Monday. If it breaks out of this particular range, I will definitely expect an upper side. But if it breaks down from this particular range, I will expect a downward side. This is clear cut. Now, this is for the intraday traders. Now, if you are a long-term trader, like assuming you don't have time to sit in the market the whole day, but you are there in the market, you are participating, but you are a long-term trader. Okay, so you will see in the daily time frame, in the weekly time frame, or maybe you can go for the monthly time frame also. So हमें ये दिख गया monthly में भी यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे consolidated for a period, it broke up, it basic accumulation हुआ, and then you see it went up ahead. So this is basic. It goes really accordingly. अगर आप देखोगे ना, तो this makes it very simpler. It defines like आपको क्या करना है, आपका clarity आ जाता है, आपको पता चल जाता है कि this is market trend, this is price action tool at the end, and this is what you'll get to know. अभी यहाँ पे अगर breakout हुआ है, then what could be the high range? I can keep this as like basically as my next target zone, but this is also broken. What I do, I continue the rally, I continue in the MCX, I go ahead with the market, I respect the market respects me, and then I go ahead and I see, and now it is at 2,216. So somewhere if anyone could have predicted at the level of 332, you could have you could have created a good profit, and see the level is at 2216. So now we're talking about the different career. We talked about the intraday traders. We talked about the long term. Now, what are the institutional doings? Now we always ask कि institutions का मेरे को अगर कुछ behavior पता चले कि क्या पर है, what are they doing, where are they buying, where are they making the positions. We always ask that particular questions again and again to either like whoever we are communicating with. Now for the institution ना, they don't chase headlines. हम वो headlines को नहीं follow करेंगे और वो chase नहीं करेंगे वो चीज को. They position early when the price are quite basically price ekdam shant hai. They follow the trend, they follow the zones that is getting created, and then they participate into that. But they will not directly put all their money into one particular trade and one particular phase. They will put a bit by bit, and then they will carry on the particular zone to generate the good amount, like profitable hone ke liye. Now, this is again when it is consolidating, try to figure out, try to catch that particular rally, and then you'll see a zone getting created. Without fail, you'll also end up booking good amount of profits. Now, at this particular time, अगर आप एक चीज notice कर रहे रहोगे आपके चार्ट पे, अगर आपने भी M6 लगाया रहेगा सॉफ्टवेयर में, तब सिमिलरली देखोगे कि दिस पर्टिकुलर कैंडल के बाद यहाँ पे वॉल्यूम राइज अप कितना हुआ था. Now you see, this is where the volume breakout also started happening. Now, this is where we were approaching to 7.44, then near to 6.88. Then you see directly 15.65 CR and that is 19.88 CR. So you see it is really growing up. You are seeing that the similar volume is also rising up. There are quantity getting purchases at that particular time and it is carrying on. And then similarly when the profit started booking, तो यहाँ पे आप देखोगे थोड़ा सा volume है comparatively and it is still like maintained towards the upper side. So this is an example. Okay, now we move towards the next slide. Now the next slide is an example of two different phases. First is National Aluminium explaining the accumulation and the second is AB FRL. Now, एक second. I'm sorry. Now, if I see National Aluminium, similar, यहाँ पे भी अगर हम देखेंगे, तो this is where I had predicted the consolidated phase thoda, and then it moved towards the upper side. Then again, it was testing bit by bit. एक breakout, huge breakout मिला, and then it moved again ahead. So this is in National Aluminium, which we saw. Now, if I go ahead, April. So now I will see April May. Now in this, what has happened? We're going a bit back. Over here, where I have seen is that कि हम और थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे देखेंगे. Now this is where you are basically seeing a downward zone getting created. It consolidated only for 2 candles, but I'm seeing in the monthly chart. But if I see in the daily chart, I'll be able to see more clarity. जैसे यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे तो near to 2025 के आसपास somewhere it started and then we saw a downward zone. Correct? So this is basically a zone getting created. जैसे यहाँ पे भी है. There are 2 examples in April. So this is 2 examples in National Aluminium in April we saw for the upside and the downside. Okay, now we go ahead. Now, what is 2020 strategy? What is the overview? Now, to be honest, in this particular session, I'm not giving you a strategy. We are clearing out the doubts. We are clearing out what can be your particular. आप already कोई strategy follow कर रहे रहोगे, जो आप उसी को follow करो, but in a different intention and a different variation. जैसे starting में भी हमने बात किया कि हम repeatedly वही चीज कर रहे हैं and वही चीज follow करते जा रहे हैं, जिससे हमारी loss continuity होते जा रही है. But try to change your behavior. Try to change your outtake onto it and then particularly go ahead. Now, before going ahead, I will launch a poll which will keep us engaged. So एक launch होगा poll, उस पे आप just अपना input डाल दो. So basically what usually hurts your trading more? wrong market decision, lack of clear plan, or emotional decisions. हम emotionally भी बहुत attached हो जाते हैं and we'll wait for the particular trade to continually happen, but sometimes that doesn't participate really well for us and doesn't work out for us. Okay, we've gotten our results. So now what I can see is that 26% of the attendees feel the wrong market decision is our basically जहाँ पे we lack and hurt our trading zone. The 30% have said lack of clear plan. We don't have a clear plan. And the 44% of the attendees have said emotional decisions. Now, अगर हम मार्केट डायरेक्शन की बात करें तो मार्केट डायरेक्शन में अगर हम देखेंगे तो 26% मार्केट डायरेक्शन के लिए आपने वोट किया है. नाउ एट दैट पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट हमारा एक ऑलरेडी क्लैरिटी हो चुका है कि हमारा मार्केट साइकिल को अगर हम देखेंगे तो दैट ऑलरेडी गिव यू एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि market decision would not affect you now because you can understand by the market cycle and by the whole zone. तो आपका एक क्लैरिटी और चेक बॉक्स हो गया. जिनको वो फेज के लिए इशू आ रहा था, जिनको वो पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट के लिए इशू आ रहा था, आई होप दैट इज क्लियर बिकॉज यू विल बी एबल टू rectify now by using this particular accumulation market cycle strategy. Okay, lack of clear plan. Okay, so आगे का जो जोन होने वाला है, आगे का जो वेबिनार रहेगा उसमें हम लैक ऑफ क्लियर प्लान को कवर अप करेंगे, इमोशनल डिसीजंस को भी विल ट्राई टू ओवरकम. Okay, so what is the 2026 strategy? Now every year अगर हम जब new start करें, we always have this new energy कि हम अभी कुछ ऐसा करेंगे, हम ये चेंज कर देते हैं, 2026 से चेंज करेंगे. Some things we would be lacking कि हम अब तक नहीं कर पा रहे थे, but right now we will start doing that majorly. तो अगर आप देखोगे, so basically आप एक ट्रेंड फिल्टर यूज करते रहोगे, फिर आपका सेटअप सिलेक्शन आता रहेगा. ट्रेंड फिल्टर बेसिकली अप ट्रेंड में, डाउन ट्रेंड में, साइडवेज, व्हाटएवर इट इज, अब उसके अकॉर्डिंगली आप एक सेटअप यूज करोगे दैट कुड बी बेसिकली वर्किंग इन योर अपसाइड, डाउनसाइड और साइडवेज. करेक्ट. नाउ कंट्रोल रिस्क कैसे कंट्रोल करोगे? सो बेसिकली व्हाट यू कैन डू इज कि ओवरली आप जो भी आपका स्ट्रैटेजी फॉलो कर रहे हो ऑन द अप ट्रेंड और द डाउन ट्रेंड, ट्रेंडी मार्केट में वो साइडवेज में तो वर्क नहीं करेगा. क्लियरली साइडवेज में यू विल बी सीइंग कि आपका जो प्रॉफिट बुकिंग है वो कम हो जाएगा और रिस्क ज्यादा रहेगा. तो उस टाइम पे आपको कंट्रोल करना है मोर ओवरली, कि आपको उस टाइम पे ध्यान रखना है कि जितना ट्रेड में भी अज्यूम यू वर टेकिंग अ पार्टिसिपेशन इन ऑप्शंस एंड ऑप्शंस में मोर देन 10 लॉट्स कर रहे थे ट्रेंडी मार्केट. But that when the sideways happen, would you participate with the same lot size? Question yourself. 9. So उस टाइम पे आपका डिसीजन चेंज होना चाहिए. रिस्क को कंट्रोल करने के लिए यू विल बी पार्टिसिपेटिंग विथ लेस लॉट साइज and less capital maybe, so that you could hold up. Now when you know that it is not moving according to your favor, the market is not according, then try to avoid, try to see that particular time, try to just watch it, don't participate. Okay, now this thing, अगर आपका सेटअप है, आपका रिस्क कंट्रोल करने का आपका स्ट्रैटेजी भी है, तो दिस ends up becoming your execution discipline. Now disciplines तब आते हैं ना जब we are following for a period of time, right? Now आपने एक particular आपकी strategy रहेगी for the trending market, एक strategy रहेगी for the sideways market, but sometimes we feel like कि हम ये strategy नहीं, छोड़ो ये जाने देते, आज कर लेते, देखते क्या होता है, but that doesn't execute really well. तो तब आपका discipline तो खत्म हो जाएगा. So it's better to work on, and simple strategies works really best. Don't complicate your strategies. Don't put like hundreds of indicators into one particular chart to overdo it. Rather than keep one simple strategy, simple setup and follow that. Okay, now these are the step 1, step 2, step 3. Now we'll deeply look into like step 1 में क्या कर सकते. तो स्टेप 1 में अगर हम देखेंगे तो ट्रेंड आइडेंटिफिकेशन हो रहा है ना. ट्रेंड आइडेंटिफिकेशन में मोर ओवरली आप 200 EMA यूज करो एज अ प्राइमरी इंडिकेटर. Now similarly I've applied this on the MCX chart. Now if you see on the MCX chart, in the PPT right beside image I have showed in the daily time frame. I'll apply the same on the chart here also by putting the MCA average 200. A very simple one. EMA 200 डिस्प्ले में जाओ, आप यहाँ पे अपना filtration लगा दो, and then you see. Now what I can see is right now it has cut it downward, correct? It is moving downward. So right now this is downside one. This, but the chart is different. Let's switch to MCX. Now in MCX, if you see in the daily time frame, it has cutted the candle on 11th of April 2025, and afterwards you see it is in the upside zone. Correct. So this is clearly showing you that it is in the upside zone, and it makes it simple for me to understand कि हाँ चलो ठीक है, this is in the upside. It is getting clear for me. Then if I see National Aluminium also, नेशनल एल्यूमिनियम में भी सिमिलर, यहाँ पे ऑलमोस्ट एट 29.8 को कट किया था, सिमिलर सस्टेन क्लोज नाइसली अबव. आई कैन सी इट इज नाइसली अपवर्ड. एट दिस पर्टिकुलर टाइम इट वाज समवेयर अराउंड 192 एंड नाउ यू कैन सी इट इज एट 330. बेटर, नाइसली सीन. देन इसके बाद आई विल गिव यू एन एग्जांपल ऑफ द आरती ड्रग्स नाउ. ओके, सो आरती ड्रग्स देखेंगे. Now, Aarti Drugs may currently, before it was in the upside, but right now it is downside, giving me clarity. There's a huge gap between the price and the average. It clearly tells कि हाँ यहाँ पे एक upside में है या downside में है. There is a strong momentum. This is clear. Everyone knows about 200 EMA and everyone knows the logic about it. I made it more simpler, keeping only one indicator to give me a clarity. इसके बाद आप intraday में कुछ और लगा सकते हो. Intraday में also you can use the similar, but it won't be ideally to use this thing. You can use Anchor VWAP to get you a more exposure on to where your entries and exit could be. I use that. It gives me much of clarity. I have only that on my chart. It makes it simpler for intraday, and if I want to go, I follow for position, I follow the trend where it is. So that is basically the step one. Now after this, what basically does is, if a price is about 200 EMA, it is a positive bullish basis, and a price is below the 200 EMA, it directly tell you it is a bearish zone. So no trade against the dominant trend. यहाँ पे आप यही देख सकते हो easily. If I see in any chart, it will make it easier for me to understand कि क्या हो रहा है. So now we move to the second one, is high probability setups. So basically now there are pullback in trends. So now if I apply the similar thing on the intraday now, or basically sometimes you will see a strategy which you are following ना, जिसमें थोड़ा सा pullback होगा, which is a zone जहाँ पे it happens, and you'll see that is a confirmation also. Most of the strategy, whenever a pullback is happening and then again it spikes up nicely, you'll see a good zone will get created, and eventually it will have a good upside or the downside rally. वो एक होगा. Then breakout with the volume, like we saw in some of the examples, wherever we were getting an confirmation, we saw the volume also, they were also participating really well. So volume act also nicely. We had already seen an example. Range, ट्रेंड आइडेंटिफिकेशन, ट्रेंड ट्रांजिशंस आप देख सकते हो. तो आप इसके हिसाब से आप देख सकते हो कि 200 EMA लगा दिए तो आपका ट्रेंड आइडेंटिफिकेशन और ट्रेंड ट्रांजिशन भी आपको दिख जा रहा है इजीली. So basically stocks which are making higher high pulls back calmly, like in 20 EMA or maybe 50 EMA में आप देख सकते हो. Then bullish candle आप देख सकते हो basically उसमें अगर है, then that can end up becoming a opportunity for you. So simply like you can use this 20 EMA, 50 EMA and 200 EMA sort of strategy, and you can come down to it. Now talking about the third setup is basically entry, exit, stop loss, how you can keep your targets. Now on the smaller thing, अगर आप देखोगे, I'll go back to maybe National Aluminium में हम जाके देखते हैं. Okay, so how I'll enter, how मतलब हम किस तरह से करेंगे, किस तरह से एक जोन बनाएंगे. तो now मैं सिमिलर जो मार्केट साइकिल है उसको और 200 EMA को मर्ज करके एक दो चीज करूंगी. आई डायरेक्टली पुट एन यहाँ पे टूल which will basically help me understand more betterly. तो मैंने यहाँ पे एक support resistance यूज कर रही हूँ and so I'm using this. Now what I can see is it has been consolidating over here in daily time frame according to the recent phase which has happened. It gave me a breakout in the next candle, once in the 2nd September candle. What I see is once the signal is given, मुझे signal मिला है, then उसके बाद next candle has to give me the confirmation. Confirmation I see is according if it closing above the high or the close of the previous candle, I will mark that as my confirmation. And again in this particular zone में अगर आप देखोगे जब signal आया था तब volume breakout भी था, correct? So it participated. Confirmation हुआ, volume was still fine, not so great, but okay, near to that, ज़्यादा नीचे नहीं गया. I participate by entering at 209 and I go up without fail. So if it is coming a bit down, but if still it stands above 200 EMA, you can still continue towards the upper side. So that is basically how I would see, how I would basically participate. Every trade will have different sort of end zones. मतलब अलग अलग चीजें रहेगी, अलग अलग सिनेरियोज रहेंगे, एंट्री एग्जिट एक सिनेरियो रहेगा, प्राइस एक्शन को ज्यादा ध्यान दो. इसी तरह से अगर आप देखोगे तो आपने अगर समझो नियर टू एंटर किया है 209, राइट नाउ इफ यू सी इट created 279 72 का, so almost a good profits has been created. So this can be targets में 1:2 का 1:3 भी हो सकता है without fail. So that can also be happen like into the zone अगर आप continuity रखो तो. Okay, so this is third step. Now last step is our basically position sizing and risk. So risk अगर आप ले रहे हो तो मतलब इसमें अगर हम देखने जाए तो रिस्क फॉर एवरी ट्रेड अगर आप लॉन्ग टर्म के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से देख रहे हो तो it won't be much. It would be near to 1 to 2% per trade, because if you're following the market, if you're following the zones, so it would end up becoming easier for you because हमने प्राइस एक्शन को एक रिस्पेक्ट दिया है, मार्केट साइकिल को रिस्पेक्ट किया है, आप ट्रेंड के हिसाब से एक पर्टिकुलर इंडिकेटर को देख रहे हो, दैट इज ऑल्सो गिविंग यू द राइट. सो ट्रेड रिस्क वुड बिकम लेस. आप कम ट्रेड करोगे एंड हायर क्वालिटी रहेगा, द क्वालिटी विल ऑलवेज हैव मच मोर. तो मेकिंग इट सिंपल. अब यहाँ पे जो आप स्ट्रैटेजी फॉलो कर रहे रहोगे विच यू फॉलो ऑन डेली बेसिस, in that particular strategy which gives you the right signal and you know this is giving me the right signal, मार्केट ट्रेंड के अकॉर्डिंगली उसको कम करो, कम ज्यादा करो लाइक लॉट साइज में, एंड देन according to the trend, if it is uptrend you go ahead, if it is sideways calm down, if it is downtrend go ahead, जैसा रहेगा. देन आपकी स्ट्रैटेजी हो गई, आपका डिसिप्लिन उससे मेंटेन हो चुका है, देन यू गो अहेड, यू क्रिएट योर एंट्री एग्जिट्स, यू नो. नाउ उसके अकॉर्डिंगली आप अगर ओवर ट्रेड करने के भले आप कम ट्रेड लोगे तो आप उसकी क्वालिटी मेंटेन करोगे, हायर क्वालिटी रहेगा, कैपिटल प्रेजर्वेशन एट फर्स्ट रहेगा, तो दैट विल बी नॉट रियली यू नो ज्यादा इशू नहीं क्रिएट करेगा, सो दैट विल मेक इट स्मूथर फॉर यू. सो दिस इज लाइक द 4 स्टेप थिंग कि जहाँ पे आप बेसिकली अपना फर्स्टली you will see trend identification कहाँ पे हो रहा है, then accordingly you'll bet your trades. ब्रेकआउट होगा या फिर कुछ भी होगा जो आप फॉलो करते हो तो दैट विल हैपन. देन एंट्री एग्जिट यू विल डिफाइन accordingly and then you will risk basically according to जहाँ पे आपका basically रिस्क कम हो जाएगा. तो यहाँ पे आई थिंक स्टेप 4 में यू विल बी मोर सेटल, यू विल बी मोर लाइक काम, यू नो व्हाट यू आर डूइंग. बाय द स्टेप 3 बिकॉज यू नो योर एंट्रीज एंड एक्सिट्स, सो बाय स्टेप 4 यू विल know what you are doing more overly. Okay, so moving ahead, there is one more poll question which we will launch. So it's just a understanding base. Do you adapt your strategy when the market cycle change? Basically, अभी तो सबको market cycle के बारे में पता चला है, but if understand this, you are adapting a strategy according to my market cycle. So right from now, would you change your strategy? So accordingly, always, sometimes, rarely or never करके आप जो आपको understand हो रहा है, तो आप you reply. Okay. Yeah. So I can see that the answer that 38% of users, 30% of the 38% of the attendees are saying always, and 50% of them are saying sometimes. So now I think everyone will participate and everyone will try to change their particular direction, or they will move ahead in a different way, क्योंकि उनका एक perception different हो गया रहेगा towards the particular zone. किस तरह से आप देख रहे हो, किस तरह से आप कर रहे हो participate, hoping that. Now we'll move to the strategy across market phase, like the second last slide. Now trending में आप continuous setup जो आप कर रहे हो, continuation of setup जो कर रहे हो, वही sideways में patience and breakout focus करो, कि जहाँ पे आपको breakout मिला है उसके बाद you enter into it and then you see where the zones are getting created. So अगर trading है तो normal size में रखो, continuation of trades जो आप कर रहे हो वही exactly करो, but sideways में fewer trades लो, wait for the breakout actually to happen, and volatile में reduce again the sizes and selective entries. Like अगर volatile है बहुत ज़्यादा market, then try to calm down, because you don't know how you can handle the particular zone. तो उसके लिए you participate less, or you focus on some stocks. Figure out that this is your 10 stocks that you are going to watch every day without fail, and that is only what you are going to do again and again. So volatile mein you do that. Strategy stays constant, execution adapts. तो आप execution किस तरह से कर रहे हो, that is what is important. Strategy you keep accordingly, because you know that is your strategy, you've created it, you know the entry exit stop loss of it. Execution is where we are lacking, because हम वही same strategy जो trending market में करते हैं वही sideways में करेंगे, तो does it apply? It will not apply. The answer is no, clearly. And volatile में it will obviously give you too much or results, or it would end up being a not so right strategy for you at that particular point. So this is that. Now coming to the last, common mistakes that we do in to avoid. Basically हम ज़्यादा कर लेते हैं ये particular चीज को, and we should avoid in 2026. एक तो over trading, try to avoid doing over trading. Ignore trend filters. Trend filters, basically these are the mistakes that we are doing overly. Most of us sort of fail not because the strategy don't work, but because of the rule break, the rules that we break accordingly. हमें पता है कि हमारा profit booking is particular amount और इस particular zone में है, but then too we will start keep on trading. Trade until and unless it is giving you the signal. Don't directly participate without thinking twice or into it. Ignore trend filters. Trend filters को basically जो भी न्यूज़ basically मिल रही है उसमें ज़्यादा involvement कम करो. So that is basically you're ignoring the filtrations part. Emotional exits, basically we keep on staying into one zone rather than exiting out of it. We know that this is where we stand. The other day also I was having a conversation where we discussed कि emotionally we attach and we know that this is our exit point. So define our exit point on the basis of the previous resistance where it was. Always, if you see, if you're following the market price actions, I think everyone who are attending are more experienced than what I can say, but understanding what previous resistance act will always have a better impact कि वहां पे आप exit करो, वहां पे आप test करो कि किस तरह से work कर रहा है, and then वहां पे आपका जो एक experience बोलता है उस तरह से act accordingly. But don't really go into the emotional zone में कि जहाँ पे आप hold on करो, आप exit ही ना करो. Strategy hopping, like I've seen like many users or many traders who are hopping onto one strategy than another. Try to avoid and keep 1 or 2 or maximum 5 strategies. I've said this before in previous webinars also, that keeping one or two strategy works really well rather than keeping hundreds of different strategy, which you are not aware of how it is going to work according to you and different market situations maybe. So that is basically the overall. And this is what I wish that everyone entering into 2026 can have a good and profitable trades rather than doing the same mistakes what they've done from the past previous sessions or previous years. Try to avoid, try to change in your behavior, try to use and implement the sessions that we've done today, like the topics that we've covered. Market cycles ko follow karo. Use support resistance as your key levels. That will help you to understand where the zones are getting created. Okay, so this was the last slide. Last slide. If you have any queries, contact us on 022-3501-8383. That is our landline number. Our WhatsApp number directly is 89769-91601 and 602. For the support mail, if you want to mail us, you can do us on support@spidersoftwareindia.com. So this is it. I hope everyone enjoyed today's session and they took something out of it. Thank you and have a great year ahead.